On Authentic Ag, we talk with Tanner Ehmke. He heads up CoBank's Knowledge Exchange division, and recently they did a couple of papers on the future profitability of grain elevators and on the hemp. We'll also have features from Kansas Corn, Kansas Wheat, and a weekly update from the Kansas Livestock Association and Paragon Ag Advisors. I'm Ken Rahjes. This is Authentic Ag.
Brought to you in part by the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, Progress powered by Kansas farmers, Kansas Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farm and ranch families since 1919, KFB.org, and the Kansas Wheat Commission, lending in the adoption of profitable innovations from wheat, online at kswheat.com.
Welcome to the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center, right here in my hometown of Oakley, Kansas. We're the front door of Western Kansas, located on three main highways, I-70, US 83, and US 40. And all those roads lead to history, beautiful scenery, and adventure, no matter which direction you go. We now have an IHOP. That brand that you've trusted up and down the road in all your travels is staffed with local folks, real people, just like you and me, and we're waiting on you to join us. So for fun, adventure, fuel up, fuel your body, and let's have some fun.
And agricultural news from agview.net. The Senate Ag Committee passed legislation to support agro-biodefense. Committee Chairman Pat Roberts of Kansas says the legislation means they're one step closer to securing a more robust defense of the nation's agriculture and food supply. The National Bio and Agri-Defense Facility Act of 2019 authorizes the Ag Secretary to use the facility as a national security laboratory, protecting agriculture and food. The bill directs MBAF to carry out the relevant objectives of a Homeland Security presidential directive and the National Biodefense Strategy, both aimed at securing the nation's food and agriculture. The $1.25 billion facility in Manhattan, expected to be operational by 2022-23. The bill also outlines the national security mission of the facility and the duties of the agencies responsible for implementing that mission. Senator Cory Booker has introduced legislation to phase out concentrated animal feeding operations known as CAFOs. We know them as feedlots. The New Jersey Democrat says the Farm Safety Reform Act of 2019 will place an immediate moratorium on new and expanding large CAFOs and phase them out altogether by 2040, the largest ones that are defined by EPA, that is. The legislation would also restore mandatory country of origin labeling requirements for beef and pork, as well as expand over to dairy products. Additionally, it would prohibit USDA from labeling foreign imported meat as product of the USA. Booker labels CAFOs as large factory farms, claiming that the operations are harmful to rural communities, public health, and the environment, saying we must immediately begin the transformation to a more sustainable and humane system. Now, Politico notes Booker is a vegan, and he says he's not interested, though, in telling Americans what to eat, but proposing sweeping reforms to the U.S. food system, well, that's routine for the senator. And a quarterly report from the Farm Credit Administration suggests commodity prices will mostly remain low next year. This report cites large global supplies of crops in storage, saying that it will limit an attractive price opportunity for U.S. farmers. Now, for the next 3 years, soybean prices projected roughly $8.50 a bushel, corn $3.70 a bushel. The report also says livestock and dairy returns likely, though, to be positive early in the coming year, but trade risks remain elevated. Meanwhile, the report says that while it's been a difficult year in 2019 for farmers and ranchers, they faced trade disruptions, weather extremes, and low prices. The crop insurance indemnities, farm programs, and that market facilitation program payment continue to provide financial support to the farm economy. The report also says farm financial conditions may become more challenging next year without some stronger markets or more aid payments. That's Ag News. Stay with us. We have more coming up.
Kim Mannering with Hardy Insurance. Today we will talk about umbrella coverage. Did you know that if you're held liable in any type of accident, the judgment can claim your assets? Please give me a call so we can discuss. 316-945-6733.
Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well in their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but yet we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, and we're glad to answer it and work with you.
Joining us now is Tanner Ehmke, the manager of CoBank's Knowledge Exchange Division, but more importantly, he's a Western Kansas kid, grew up in the Lane County, Dighton area, so always good to have Kansas to do well, and so we appreciate what you do. So there's a couple of issues we're going to talk about. This first part, a paper that you came out recently dealing with grain elevators and then the challenges that basically 2019 and just the whole overall ag economy has brought them.
Well, this has not just been a tough year for farmers in terms of weather and trying to get a crop in the ground and trying to get it harvested, but it's also a problem with grain handlers. So across the country, this has just been a saga of the never-ending harvest because it's been wet and snowy, and a lot of the crop is planted late, as we all know, and that affected the maturity of the crop, and a lot of the fall crop was impacted by some early frosts, and that impacts the quality of the grain. It's going to be lighter test weight, it's going to be lower quality all the way around, and then at the same time, throughout the country, we've got grain that's high moisture. That introduces all other kind of problems. There's sprouting out in the field. There's going to be problems with mycotoxins. When you're storing this wet grain, you've got other problems that may come with shrinkage and rot and things like that. And so for the grain elevators, this is really going to be a very challenging year ahead. In addition to these quality issues with the grain, they're buying basis that is really, really high. In some places of the country, it's the tightest they've seen in a number of years. And so when the grain elevators are buying really expensive basis, that's going to be cutting into their margin potential for the year. And so all the way around, it's going to be a tighter year generally that we expect for grain elevators. And there are some potential opportunities for new revenue through grain drying or through blending some of this new crop, the lower quality new crop, with some old crop supplies. So those are revenue opportunities, but on the whole, it's going to be a tighter year for sure.
Did you break it out by regions and looking at all these, say, separate
every region of the Midwest really is going to be is going to have its own set of issues. Over in the Eastern Corn Belt, there was a lot of plant there, and so there's a lot more volatility in basis. Over in the northern plains, the story there with the Dakotas just has really been remarkable and stressful for a lot of farmers and elevators, and so there's going to be a lot of corn deficit regions in that part of the country. And the southern plains, the issue is storage. There's not enough storage to go around, and so they actually halted harvest for some period of time at grain elevators to move the grain out because even the grain piles were too big.
Wow.
And so they had to put harvest on pause just to move inventory out and create more space.
Okay.
So there's all kinds of issues around the Midwest and the plains that really point to just a tighter year in general for a lot of grain elevators.
Tanner Ehmke is the manager of CoBank's Knowledge Exchange Division. He's our guest this week. We'll take a break and have more in just a moment.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com. Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
ValleyVet.com, ValleyVet.com, Valley Vet Supply.
Kim Mannering with Hardy Insurance. Today we will talk about umbrella coverage. Did you know that if you're held liable in any type of accident, the judgment can claim your assets? Please give me a call so we can discuss. 316-945-6733.
And our guest this week, Tanner Ehmke, who is the manager of CoBank's Knowledge Exchange Division. And in this segment, we're going to talk about a paper that was out recently dealing with hemp. And it seems like that is kind of the new crop that everybody's trying to figure out. Will it work on their operation, and how can we make money on it?
That is definitely the key. Everybody wants to know the answer to that. How do you make money at hemp? And our economist Crystal Carpenter recently came out with her industrial hemp outlook paper, and it's a mixed bag. I mean, as is the case with any market, there's no guarantee. And hemp is new, so it's going to attract a lot of attention for sure, especially in a time when so many other commodities are not making money. So it's going to attract some attention from farmers. Is this an opportunity where I can diversify out of other commodities like corn, wheat, soybeans, or sorghum that aren't really cash flowing? Maybe this might be an opportunity. It may very well be if you have a buyer for the hemp. And that's one thing that we encountered in our research that Crystal found out, is that because of the regulatory framework, it's very uncertain at this time. Now, USDA has come out with some new regulations on it, and that's been helpful, but we still need a national plan, really, to create some consistency in interstate commerce. The FDA needs to come out with more research and guidelines to create those swimming lanes, so to speak, for CBD oil. The CBD, what are the guidelines and regulations for medicinal use or for supplement use? That has to be defined by FDA, and before they can come out with those regulations, they need to have the science to support it. That requires more time, and so it will be over a lengthy period, we think, before we really see this industry where investment feels comfortable to grow that industry. Mm-hmm. And so when you've got all of these regulatory uncertainties, it's also in the banking sector. Right. How do banks handle this? Investors are fearful of putting their money, say, into a processing facility. And so because you end up getting a bottleneck in processing, that limits the market for farmers. They got to have a buyer, right? So because of that bottleneck in processing, farmers are limited on where they can take hemp, and that's going to constrain really the growth of that sector.
It sounds like it's almost every other commodity. You got to have a processor or a buyer. So what about the long term? I mean, is this a blip as we get some of these growing pains, and then did did she have a chance to look at maybe a long-range projection? Is this something that maybe will be a niche crop in certain areas, especially where it's growing the best, or will it be simply a matter of location for those processors?
Well, it's absolutely a matter of location, and long term, there's always going to be opportunity. We got to keep in mind this is an emerging market, and you're always going to have these hiccups in a new market. And so, the long-term view is that eventually a lot of these regulatory issues will be worked out, and investment will flow into that sector, and those processors will get the capital to expand. And one of the areas where we think we're going to see a lot of expansion is really in the Pacific Northwest area. They're experienced with growing hops.
Sure.
Other oil leaves like spearmint or mint. They have the facilities, they have the experience on processing those plants, and so it'd be a natural fit to include hemp. And so if there was one place where there would be natural growth, it would be in those areas, really the Pacific Northwest, where there's hops.
Wow. Fascinating stuff. Tanner, always good to catch up with you.
Thanks, Ken.
Tanner Ehmke, by the way, a native Kansan. He is the director of CoBank's Knowledge Exchange Division. He's been our guest. Stay with us. We'll have more after this break.
Kansas Farm Bureau has served farm families in rural Kansas for more than 100 years. We're pleased to offer new healthcare coverage choices for Kansans in 2020 through Kansas Farm Bureau Health Plans. No matter what stage of life you're in, we'll have options that fit your lifestyle. Plus, our network of providers is one of the largest available throughout the state of Kansas and beyond. For more information, including the different plans available, or to get a quote, visit kfbhealthplans.com.
Hello, I'm Dr. Frank Lyons from Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center here in Manhattan, Kansas. Daryl was one of our patients that we did about 7 months ago.
I dug trees by hand for years and years and years. In the process, I wore out my rotator cuff. But when I learned about this process, I thought if there's a way to get rid of this pain, then I want to do it. So we did it, and it worked. I'm not going to go out and take trees with a shovel anymore, but I can do the things that I want to do now.
Well, it's been very gratifying to help people with their painful joints and other entities, and it's been especially gratifying to be able to help people who I know and have worked with and known for many years.
What if U.S. soybean meal were more than a commodity? If seed companies and the soybean checkoff built a better variety? That future is here. The time is now. To meet end-user demands, the soybean checkoff is investing in the compositional quality of soybeans, including meal. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Cope with the Kansas Corn Growers Association, and we'd like to invite you to our third annual Kansas Corn Symposium on January 23rd in Manhattan, Kansas. The symposium will kick off in the afternoon at 1:30 p.m. With our annual meeting, followed by dinner and a market development update and focusing on our award winners from this past year as well. The Corn Symposium is free and open to all members, and a great benefit is the networking with growers from across the state of Kansas, as well as getting some updates on what the Kansas Corn Commission as well as Association has been working on this past year, to see where your checkoff dollars are going as well as association dollars, and then enjoy a dinner as well and networking with industry partners. In addition to the Kansas Corn Symposium, that morning we'll be holding a risk management workshop. This is a free workshop focused on helping farmers refine their grain marketing skills and evaluate risk management tools. This will start at 8:30 in the morning. Again, check out our website to register and find out more information.
Kim Mannering with Hardy Insurance. Today we will talk about umbrella coverage. Did you know that if your cattle get out, you could be held liable for that? Call me. Let's have a discussion. 316-945-6733.
Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well in their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, and we're glad to answer it and work with you.
Keynote topics and speakers have been announced for the award-winning Women Managing the Farm Conference, set for February 13th and 14th in Manhattan, Kansas. Conference sessions are designed to keep women up to date on the latest advancements in agriculture and thriving within their rural communities. During the two-day conference, attendees select from presentations covering many topics, including farm finances, relationships and health, agricultural and estate law, crop production and marketing, management, and more. Attendees also choose networking sessions tailored to the different roles women hold, such as agricultural partners and helpers, independent producers, absentee landowners, ag industry career women, and business managers. Optional pre-conference workshops are offered Wednesday, February 12th, which include visits to Manhattan area ag businesses, as well as introductory and advanced sessions on QuickBooks. The 2020 conference will open with a dramatic presentation on farmland transition. Other general session presenters will include Dr. Chad Hart, Iowa State University Associate Professor of Economics, who will discuss trade's impact on U.S. agriculture, and Lance Woodbury, a family business advisor, who will lead a panel of experts discussing challenges in health and well-being. The two-day conference will wrap up with Vance Crowe, a communications consultant and story architect, who will share how women in agriculture can use stories that deeply connect with listeners. Registration for the conference is available at womenmanagingthefarm.com with an early bird rate of $150. After January 17th, registration is $175. More information about speakers, programs, exhibitors, registration, and scholarships can be found at the website womenmanagingthefarm.com. Keep up to date with the latest Women Managing the Farm news through facebook.com/womenmanagingthefarm.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
The 14th class of the Kansas Livestock Association Young Stockmen's Academy graduated December 6th at the close of the KLA convention. Merck Animal Health again partnered with KLA to host 20 members for a series of 4 seminars throughout 2019. This class brings the total number of YSA alumni to 280. Attending the KLA convention was the final session for this year's class. The 3-day event provided participants the opportunity to interact with other KLA members from across the state and get a first-hand look at the inner workings of the association. The group also participated in the policymaking process by attending committee and council meetings where members discussed issues affecting their business interests, including labeling of meat alternatives, animal disease control, and traceability. Immediately prior to the convention, the YSA class participated in an in-depth spokesperson training session and heard from National Cattlemen's Beef Association President Jennifer Houston. During their first session in Topeka last February, attendees were exposed to advocacy training, the legislative process, and services provided by KLA and NCBA. The second installment took the group to Kansas City in May, where they learned about beef marketing and agribusiness. YSA members visited Central and Western Kansas in September to tour beef and dairy operations representing various segments of each industry.
Agriculture information on your computer or mobile device. News and views on grains, livestock policy, and opinions from newsmakers can be found by liking AgView on Facebook, and on Twitter, follow AgView News. A reliable and relevant source, agview.net.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
ValleyVet.com, ValleyVet.com, Valley Vet Supply.
Imagine turning soybean oil, used cooking oils, and waste animal fats into fuel so amazing it drives U.S. jobs and our economy forward. Learn more about biodiesel at americasadvancedbiofuel.com.
Good morning, my name is Aaron Summer and I'm here to talk about the cash grain markets. Corn basis has been slowly improving lately after the roll from the D's to the March contracts. Most traders at a minimum took the whole carry on the roll and have since been creeping back to previous levels. Last week we saw one of the largest corn sales to Mexico. I feel many end users are bought up for the rest of the year and fairly bought up for JFM. Looking out into March or even April, May could be the best bet for basis bids to end users in Kansas. And the nearby respectable basis bids can be had at elevators for those willing to look for them. Soybean basis has been very interesting in the eastern half of Kansas and Missouri lately. It is some of the strongest basis we have seen for this time of year and definitely the best basis we have seen this past year at least. Many guys have had $9 cash goals were able to sell that or better. Also, between now and this summer, there are good carries in the bean market that may be worth taking advantage of. On the Missouri side, bean basis in St. Louis has been strong enough to pull beans from the western side of the state. Strong export basis combined with the possibility of a trade resolution has led to quite a respectable run in bean futures and basis. Wheat basis has not been doing much lately, but the board has been quite interesting. In the past week, KC wheat has been up over 30 cents, Chicago has been up close to 40. As has the case been this year, protein premiums are still available for those with higher protein wheat. Knowing your wheat qualities before marketing can make a huge difference in the cash price that you get. If you have any questions or are looking for selling advice, please give us a shout at 888-452-8751.
Well, thank you for joining us for Authentic Ag. If you have questions or comments, email me, Ken Rahjes at gmail.com. We look forward to being with you next year, next edition of Authentic Ag.
Watch Ag AM in Kansas online at agamandkansas.com.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source, together we grow.
Kim Mannering with Hardy Insurance. Today we will talk about umbrella coverage. Did you know that if you're held liable in any type of accident, the judgment can claim your assets? Please give me a call so we can discuss. 316-945-6733.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.